Richard, appreciate you always making some time for us. Football Scoop reporting that there is a possibility and a probability that the 25 signee scholarship limit is going to be done away with by the end of this month. How is this going to change football recruiting?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing, and I think anybody that's kind of read stories about the possibility of increasing or doing away with the 25 limit understands the portal's just killing a lot of rosters, and coaches need to have an opportunity to be able to fill those spots. And if you have the 25 limit, that's kind of difficult when you're trying to get that to that 85. If you have a few more guys leave than what you anticipated, instead of signing 25, you can sign 30. Or maybe you could even sign 35 to get your roster up to 85. So I think it's a good idea. That's especially because of the portal and the uncertainty of kids being with the program from year to year.
Richard, you've told us before that maybe the kid that's on the brink of a D1 scholarship or on the brink of going to Arkansas, with the portal, that adds uncertainty. You've spoken to parents. It's just made high school recruiting for those fringe guys that much more difficult. Does this help alleviate that a little bit?
It could. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I mean, it sounds like it could. Because you're obviously you got more scholarships to give, and that kind of frees up more for high school kids. But at the same time, that portal is so attractive to coaches, and I don't know. Every time there's a rule change, there's always unintended consequences, and I would tend to think that this is a good thing. It seems like it is, but I'd have to see it work for a few years before I'm ready to say it's definitely going to help, the borderline high school kids.
When it comes to this limit and the timelines, we were chatting on this earlier. Does something have to be done, though, with the timing of this and the portal and the limits? Because, you can look and some coaches end up with kind of a hand tied behind their back when a player leaves late and you don't have really the opportunity to go recruit much or get much out of the portal. I think you've also got to look at the timelines on this, don't you, Richard?
Yeah, and I think they're talking about that, too, as far as when you can enter the portal. I think that's a good thing. Something needs to be done for about the portal in some ways, and we've talked about this in the past. The 1 year, the number of waivers also is a factor, but the 1 year, be able to transfer without sitting out thing is definitely something that they should take a look at, but I tend to think that they probably won't. I just tend to think that when you make it easy on a 18, 19, 20-year-old kid who doesn't have a lot of life experience about going through adversity, it just opens up the opportunity for the kid to just, if things aren't going well, to just leave. And I think that's something I don't think that they'll address, but it's something that I do believe that obviously helps create this situation.
How much in your mind with some of the recent headlines? We saw one at Miami. We see something going on with USC. How much does NIL and transfer portal and the perception that maybe, these guys are becoming free agents looking for the highest bidder, all that's kind of got to go together, right? Portal and NIL and maybe reform or revisions to the rules or however you want to describe it. Connect those two dots in your mind for us.
No, there's no doubt. I mean, you know that there's tampering going on. It's kind of obvious. And even if the coaches and the players, say a coach at school A is trying to contact a kid at school B directly, I mean, that happens. We know that happens. But even if that doesn't happen, they can still get another person to do the go-between and say, hey, we have a guaranteed $50,000 for you if you come here. I understand you're only making 10 at your current school, or what have you, whatever number you can come up with. But you can get a high school coach, you can get you can get somebody else to be that go-between. So that's a major problem. As it seems like they're wanting to address the NIL, but I just don't have much confidence in the NCAA to enforce it anyway. I mean, whatever rules that they've got in place now, the rules aren't really being enforced on a regular basis, and the penalties are pretty inconsistent depending on which schools get caught doing whatever. So I don't have much faith regardless, even when they start making new rules and trying to fix this mess, but only time will tell.
Richard, it sure seems like that Lincoln Riley is caught up in multiple NIL headlines. The Jordan Addison, he hasn't officially gone to USC. He was actually practicing with Bryce Young yesterday, which is kind of scary. You don't want him to wind up at Alabama. The Mike Woods thing, the Texas wide receiver that reportedly got offered $1 million to go to USC. I think that it's going on. How do they prove it, though? Is that just phone records? I mean, how do you legally prove tampering is occurring in college football?
That's the tough part, because the NCAA doesn't have capability of issuing subpoenas. You really have to. I don't know. I don't have a good answer on that. It's not like a court of law that they have so many opportunities to try to find out the truth through subpoenas and things of that nature. But that's an area that you need some more lawyers and trying to figure all this stuff out.
What additional rules should be added? We're speaking of one that could be changed by the end of the month. Is there something, in your opinion, that should be added or taken away, specifically along the lines of college football recruiting?
As far as the NIL, I think this is a good idea. I think from a legal standpoint, it probably wouldn't be able to happen. But in a recent podcast I talked to Jeff Poole and Lori Poole, Bumper Poole's parents, and they suggested NIL deals only go to upperclassmen. That sounds good to me, because then you're proving yourself before you get the NIL deals. You can't really use it in recruiting that much. Only you can just say, hey, you come to our school and you prove yourself, you'll get some NIL deals if you're a sophomore, junior, or senior. But as soon as you make a rule like that, then there's some lawsuits from parents and other people saying, that denies their son as a freshman an opportunity to make money. So I think that makes a lot of sense.
It does.
But I don't think that ever happened.
Yeah, but what do you tell Nick Smith, who in most cases, I think the premise of what they're saying is right. We heard Doug Gottlieb kind of lay some of this out that, hey, until you get on campus and you bounce a basketball or catch a pass or whatever, what is your market value? But you look at a player like Nick Smith, who everyone in our state knows him because of his high school basketball success. I don't think it takes much of an argument to say he does have value in this particular marketplace.
No, and you're right. You're right. It's just you're trying to come up with ideas that fix this stuff, this mess. And every time
should have fixed it before they started is what they should have done, Richard.
Well, the problem is that the NCAA, yeah, no doubt. It's just a total mess right now. The solutions are going to come, and there's going to be a lot of trial and error. I think they're going to make some rules, and they'll have to add some additional rules because coaches will find some loopholes. And it's going to probably be a 3 to 5, 6 year fix to try to kind of play and tinker with the rules and really see what works before you really come up with something pretty solid, I would think.
Yeah, because that line of thinking, which I don't disagree with on the surface, would probably affect basketball more because of the one-and-done nature of that sport compared to football and baseball, where you're more or less locked in for 3 years. Basketball, that kind of upperclassmen only get NIL deals it would have the greatest impact on basketball. Just thinking through it quickly.
No, there's no doubt about that, and you make a very good point. It's just something that maybe could be considered, but at the same time, give some leeway here or there. I don't know. I obviously not an attorney, but every time you come up with something you think it might be a solution, the other side of the argument kind of puts holes into your solution.
But all the older fans that I talk to, guys my age, your age, and older, they're angry about the way it feels like it's free agency for all these guys, and the way and maybe it's just because we're old guys and don't like change. But I haven't talked to anyone that's in their 40s, 50s, 60s that likes the feel of college athletics right now.
Oh, I mean, it's always been kind of dirty, but it's probably maybe even got even worse. And you see the guy from Miami saying if he doesn't get a better NIL deal, I'm leaving. It just doesn't look good. It's not a good look for college athletics, and it really just exposes human nature and how selfish we can be and how we want to have everything on our terms and things of that nature. So it's a mess right now, and I'm not so sure it's just the older set of the fans. I think some of the younger fans also see issues with all of this and can be a little bit turned off too. But obviously, with things changing like they are, they're probably a little bit more open to the change than older guys.
We'll leave it there, Richard. Good stuff this morning, man. We will talk more about some Arkansas recruiting next week.
Sounds good, guys. We'll see you.
All right, Richard Davenport, he joins us every Thursday on Recruiting Thursday here on the Morning Rush.
Partners at BetOnline continue to be the #1 source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, including updated odds on the NBA playoffs, fights, and even next season's futures. And don't forget that the MLB is back as well. Who are you picking to win the World Series? BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino and poker games. It's super easy to get started, so head to the website today or use your mobile device to join and use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.